Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Cohen. And today, this episode honestly just makes me want to bang my head against the table right here. It does. And not just because it's what I see so much in other people, but it's what I see in myself as well. And I just, I don't know. We're going to get into it today. We are. And what we're talking about here is going from self-doubt to self-authority. And self-doubt is the thing that makes me want to bang my head against the table. And it is because, oh my gosh, like what a blocker of all of the things that we are meant to do in this life. Like sometimes I look at even my own self and I'm like, why does this get to define me? Like, why am I letting this define me? This self doubt, this doubt in this tiny little thing or in this what feels tiny, but it's actually big and like ruling a part of my life. And I know that you feel this frustration too. You've come into Spirit and Soul saying the same thing. I just can't get out of my own way. Oh, I can't get past it. I can't post anything on social media because I don't know. I can't do it. I had a client, a business coaching client the other day tell me um, she had all of the content recorded. I just don't know why I'm not putting it out. Right. And it's because at some level, there is a doubt of the self, maybe a doubt of authority, authority in her space or whatever it is. And it's normal, right? Like it's so very normal. We all have it. And yet and a lot of times we're very aware of it. And yet we still let it rule us. And that's the part that makes me want to bang my head against the table and really like just say like why, right? It is in the moments where I recognize self-doubt though, and I don't let it rule me. So as soon as I recognize it, I will take action against it because sometimes self-doubt is subconscious and we're making decisions and we're living life from this subconscious place and we can't really help it. But the moment that it steps into your awareness, the moment that you say, I keep doing this, I have all the videos, why aren't I putting it out, is the moment that you, in that moment right there, you post the video, right? Like, so that's what I have gotten really, really good at. And I will say that that has changed my life. The conviction to not let self doubt rule my life has changed my life. It doesn't mean that self doubt is not there, right? It just means that I don't give it power anymore. And that's where self authority starts to step in. So that's why I say, yeah, like, of course, there are times where I do have self doubt. It is what you do with it that's always going to make the difference. What you do with that self-doubt, what you do with the fears, the limiting beliefs, all of that, it's what you do once you recognize that you have it that will make all the difference. I want you to understand something. We have duality and we have it for a reason. If we didn't have duality, if we didn't have self-doubt, then we wouldn't know what it is to be in our power. We would just be. And there is so much magic in being in your power, right? But you wouldn't know what that magic was if you didn't ever doubt yourself first. If you didn't maybe even have to overcome some self doubt in the first place, you wouldn't know what it is. And take a look at this in your own life. Okay. If you are just really good at something, just like you just are, you don't ever have to try. You're good at it, you enjoy it, and let's say it's cooking. Cooking is coming to mind right now. Okay. You're great at cooking. Everyone tells you that you're great at cooking. For you, it is second nature. You don't have to think about it. You just do it. Okay. Are you really in your power so much in that area of your life, or are you just you? Do you give yourself authority? Like, do you say, like, yeah, I'm a great cook? To people, Probably not. You probably don't do it. You probably wait for other people to say that you're a great cook to, let's say, someone else. Like, oh yeah, Tiffany is a great cook. Like, I will tell people, yeah, I'm a great cook, right? Like, I've recognized that in this point of my life. So I'll tell people what my strengths are, because that is, I know what that power does for me as well. And I'm not, patting myself on the back, tooting my own horn, or maybe I am. And what's wrong with that? Right? Like, why can't we say what we're good at? Like, that's weird that we don't, right? That's weird that someone told us along the line to be quiet about the things that we're good at. Anyway, now I'm on a tangent, but it's true. So think about it though. That thing that you are just naturally good at, you probably just are, and you go about your day. But it is when you worked for the thing that you really step into your power with it, because you know what you had to overcome. You knew what it was to have self-doubt and still rise above it. That makes there be a bit more pride to it. Like, you had to work for it. You had to be in the trenches with it and struggle with it. And then you got great at it. So maybe you were like, maybe you love dance, and maybe you started out in dance classes, and like maybe you weren't, like, you couldn't keep up. And then now you're like a great dancer. Like, you worked at it and you practiced and all the things, and now you're great. And you're like, yeah, like, I love to dance. I'm a great dancer. Like, it's so fun, right? It's so much easier to talk about, and also so much easier to perform it, right? Whereas if you're riddled with self-doubt, you're probably not going to get up there with confidence in order to do the things. So what self-doubt is the internalized voice of other people. It's the internalized voice of people, whether they were actually talking to you or whether they were talking about themselves, is a really big one. And that's a sneaky one. That's a really sneaky one that comes up, because it's one thing if somebody says something about you directly to you in your line of hearing that you caught, that you internalize. It's one thing when it's about you. It is a completely other thing, sly and sneaky in the background, when someone's talking about themselves and now you go to do something similar and you are feeling that energy, because now you have made their thing your thing. You made it that, oh, it's important to them, so it should be important to me. If they think that about themselves, I should look out for that too, so that I don't feel like that. And I will tell you that this happens all the time when looking in the mirror. Am I right? When you look in that mirror, if you've ever heard, and a lot of us, if you're around my age, like I would say from honestly 20s and up. Okay. So I was going to say in 40s, but honestly, I'm going to say 20s and up. I feel like parents are just healing through this, but your parent, your mother in particular, probably looked in that mirror and talked some shit about herself. She ripped herself apart, to finally maybe at the end say, all right, looks good, I'm going, right? Fixing the hair and then go. I know that was a huge thing in my family, like all down my mother line, right? Not just my mother, but all down my mother line, that what you looked like mattered. And I see myself, and I had to do a lot of healing around this. I see myself going to have the same conversations within frequently, right? I look and I see something and I'm like, oh, wait, well, maybe I shouldn't wear this, or maybe right? And I will start to go back into old ways of being, and I do have to catch myself. But these are things that were never actually said to me. I just witnessed. And so they became my self-doubts, my limiting beliefs about myself. So it doesn't have to be said to you. It could just be absorbed. The other place that I see a lot of self-doubt start to trickle into our own fields, our own mind, is through, again, it's another absorbed thing, but it's through like TV, entertainment, things like that. I see this a lot because a lot of times, if we, let's say, like, think about when you were a kid and you watched a show and you thought you didn't really have a frame of reference, let's say, and I'm thinking about like teenage specific, let's say, you didn't really have a frame of reference for what it is to be a teenager, how you act and all the things. So, or maybe what is it to have a relationship? And so you look at these TV shows that are doing things for entertainment purposes, right? Like having like really rocky friendships, backstabbing friendships, rocky relationships. Everybody's being mean and saying nasty things to each other, cheating. And you think that that is life, that that's real life. And so you start to emulate that, or so you start to doubt who you are inside. And that is a big one. And again, another kind of sneaky one, like you kind of have to realize it. So these are ways that we can begin to internalize the voices of other people or other things around us. And what we're doing is we're absorbing expectations and we're absorbing judgments and we're absorbing the opinions of others. And it's really, truly this almost residue of these past versions of you who didn't feel safe to be seen, who didn't feel safe to be heard, who didn't feel powerful. So in that moment, you felt powerless, right? And now you still continue to kind of show up from there. You begin to hide certain parts, if not all parts of who you are, because of other things that you've heard, seen, witnessed, and because you felt like maybe that could be you. And so what that does is it starts to dim your power. It starts to rip away who you are as your authentic version of you, as who you were and who you came into this world as. Right? When we come into this world as babies, we don't have limiting beliefs and fears and doubts and all the things. We just are there in all of our light and glory. And so that means that everything that we have experienced and all of our limiting beliefs, doubts, and all of it, the fears, we've learned them. They are a learned thing through experience. And so if we learned them, I also want you to understand that means that you can unlearn them. And when you start to unlearn all of those things, you step into your own authority. And self-authority is the moment that you decide you get the final say in your life. You get to decide if something is your story or not. I will say so often to myself, when I feel that little bit of fear or doubt kick in the back of my mind, I will say, that is not my story. That is no longer my story. My story is, and then I always have what my story is on the other end of it. And I will step right back into that energy. I'll step right back into the powerful, authoritative version of me because I refuse to sit in the self-doubt. So I hope that that makes sense, but you have to be aware of it. You do have to catch it. And I always say, always, that self-awareness is the most important thing that you can have in this world. Truly being aware of your actions and your thoughts and all of the things, and then taking action on what you notice. And that action doesn't have to be huge. It could be a mindset shift. It could be having an affirmation at the ready. It could be actual action, right? Like taking action. Like I said before, the moment that I recognize that I'm in something, if I have to do something, I will do it right then and there. I'll be like, nope, okay, let's go. And I will do it. And that makes all the difference because that's me taking the self-doubt out of power and putting myself back into it. Does that make sense? I know that that makes sense. And what will start to happen is you will start to change your field into a bit more, and you'll start to become more confident. So if right now you are not a person that would define themselves as confident. Like I would define myself as confident. And I would say that I've always been a confident person. That's just who I've been. Doesn't mean I've always felt confident, but I have a confidence that I will always lean back on. Okay. And I want to make that distinction because we all have moments where we don't feel confident in our skills, in what we're about to do. And what you do with that makes all the difference. You just do it anyway? I hope so. But a lot of you won't. And so what I want you to start doing is feel the fear, do it anyway, right? You've probably heard that before. I actually have that quote, feel the fear and do it anyway, on my in my office at home. And that is one of the things that I look at and I'm like, yeah, because no matter what, I'm going to do it. No matter what, I'm going to have this fear. No matter what, there's going to be some kind of doubt, especially when you're doing something new. And so I will not allow myself to lean back on that. I will say, okay, I feel it, but I'm going to keep going, right? And it's always what you do in the middle that makes the difference. It's that messy middle. It's that middle that's like feels shaky. I don't know. All right, let's just do it. And you just do it. And when you start to do it, it might feel clunky at first. I assure you, you will find your authority. And what the beautiful things that begin to happen when you find your power, when you find your authority, when you don't have this self-doubt, when actually you really begin to trust yourself. And that's one thing that really happens is you start to trust you and who you are. And you don't have to wait for validation from others. You don't need that external validation. You just do it, regardless of what other people think, regardless of the opinions of others, the actions of others, what this one might say, what this one did in the past, what their opinion is. Nope. I don't need a validation from anybody. I'm just going to do it. Even if you sought out an opinion, you still are in your authority to make your own decision from there. You don't ever need to begin to over explain your choices, why you chose to do something, right? Well, I did it because blah, blah, blah. And this was I just did it, babe. I jumped right in. That's why, because I'm in my power. And I know that no matter way that this goes, we're good. No matter which way the wind blows here, I made the right decision for me, right? And also, when you live into your authority, a beautiful thing that begins to happen is you let go of the statement of it's not the right time, or like, is it the right time? Is timing okay? Is this the right time? Right? You stop doing that. And you just say, the time is when I say it is. That is the time. And you start to make decisions from there. This happens all the time. It really, really does, though, especially in the entrepreneurial space, especially when you want to do something new and you say like, oh, my kids are young. It's just not the right time. They're in sports and we're so busy. It's just not the right time for me right now. I'm going to stop you right there. I don't want to hear that. I don't. Because you are talking to a woman who it was never the right time to do anything. It was not the right time with an infant and a toddler to start a new business and decide I was leaving corporate America. It was not the right time to finally jump ship. And when I had a mortgage and was supporting my family and all the things, and it was not the right time to leave that all behind and open up Spirit and Soul. It was not the right time to start our own product line at Spirit and Soul and invest the money and all of the energy into it. Or was it? Who said it wasn't the right time? Who said? So that's why it was the right time, because I decided it was. Because I decided that it was time to leave corporate America, regardless of the fact that I had an infant and a toddler. I can do it. And it was the right time when I decided to actually leave, finally jump ship, because I said so, even though I was taking a risk and had a mortgage and had to support my family. And yeah, it was the right time to invest in spirit and soul products because I said so. And it felt like the right time for me. And so I did it. And guess what? Every single one of those things worked out for me. Every one. On paper, it would not have looked like the right time. So if you're, and this is what's coming to mind right now, I'm feeling this for somebody out there. If you are getting divorced or want to get divorced, and you keep telling yourself it's just not the right time, oh, the kids are little. I'm not saying it's not emotional. I'm not saying it's not an upheaval, but you are a person too, and it may be the right time for you. You get limited amount of time on this earth, my friends. Live it for you. Okay? So you will now make it the right time. And it may not be the right time because it's the holiday season to go on a fitness journey. Who said? Can you just have a little bit of both? Does it have to be super strict at the beginning? Can you just start? Can you just start and witness yourself in it? One program, this is also coming to mind, maybe for somebody that's listening. One program that's absolutely amazing, if you have not tried it, is WildFit. And you'll hear me talk about it all the time by Eric Edmeades, who was also on the podcast back in the beginning of the year. He was amazing on it. And he's just an amazing human. And he started WildFit. And I don't know if I'm giving anything away, but WildFit is a beautiful, what's the word? Maybe incorporative journey where you don't just like strip everything out right away. And I love that. But in the beginning, it's all about self-awareness, which I love. And so you don't change anything up front. And I love that, right? It's just witnessing yourself in the stories that you tell yourself and why you want to eat that thing. And what are you telling yourself that I deserve it? It's a reward or a treat, right? So these are amazing, amazing ways to shift the mindset around health and a fitness journey and the foods that you ingest and just being more aware of it, right? So you can, and it is the right time whenever you just decide that it is. You just then have to take action from that, right? We always talk about living from the end. Living from the end. So what is the version of you? The version of you is going to butt up against those things at at many different steps of the way. You're going to be in situations where there's lots of food, and you're going to be in situations where, your kids need you the most and you're trying to build a business, and you're going to be in all these different situations that are going to challenge you. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but you just doubt that you can. That's the issue. It's that you doubt that you can handle it. So it's not about timing. It is about the doubt that you have in yourself in order to do it, to make the right decisions or to make the decisions that support the end goal. So please see that you're using time as an excuse. All right. And that's taking you out of your authority. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want, my friend. So let's go and just do it. Okay. And as you step into this authoritative state. You're going to listen to yourself. Again, like I said, you're going to really trust yourself. You're going to listen to yourself. You're going to listen to your intuition, and you're going to respect yourself more. And when you respect yourself, other people around you start respecting you so much more. They start respecting your time. They start respecting your decisions on your health journey. They start respecting your decisions around these things that you have chosen. And if they don't, you can create a boundary around that. And then you will also feel in your authority to do that. And that is such a beautiful, decisive way to use your energy, because when you're in your power, you make decisions from a different place. And it's so powerful to do that. And so I hope now that you go on this journey to start to see where you are riddled with self-doubt, where you are riddled with fear, where you are riddled with limiting beliefs, and start to unpack them one by one, but still take action anyway. I assure you that the self-doubt will show up again. It's going to. And I still want you to continue to take action and still continue to be in your power in order to lead yourself down a path that feels really good for you. Because if that dream is on your heart, you can hold it in your hands. If it's there and you see that vision, you are meant to be in it. This is the part that I need you to understand. You've seen it. That means it's yours. That means it's possible. That means that version of you that's there and has it already actually exists on another timeline. And that version has shown herself to you and said, hey, look what we can do. Look at the life that we can have. But like, you got to choose me. And why would you ever choose otherwise? Why would you let self-doubt, the limiting beliefs of time and all of the other BS that we tell ourselves? And this is why I want to bang my head against the table sometimes. It's like, because we do, because we choose it. And so can you just not choose it anymore? When you recognize that you've started to make the choice, that you make a different choice to a higher timeline, to the things that you want, so that it comes to you, so that it's there for you. And that then you pull it into your field and you step into it because you're meant to. But I will tell you that doubts and limiting beliefs and fears, they will get you every time if you let them. They will keep you anchored into a fear-based reality if you let them. And one day, and I hope that this isn't going to be you, but one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be 90 plus years old, laying on your deathbed. I hope you're in your hundreds. And you're laying on your deathbed and you are regretful for never taking the chance. You live with regret for making excuses for a life that could have been. That you're saying, what if? For me, I refuse to be that person. I know one day I'll be on that deathbed. And when I am, I will say, I freaking lived. It's like that song, and I love that song by One Republic. I lived. Like, I want that for you. I want you to want that for yourself. And when you choose that, there's no excuses anymore. And you also have to choose it over and over and over again. It doesn't just start to become easy. It becomes easier. But fears, limiting beliefs, and doubts, they are unfortunately comfy and warm. They are. They want you to sit in them. So they have to be comfy and warm. And so you have to peel yourself out of that. And you're going to have to do it over and over again. And I have faith that you can. If I can do it, you can do it. If I'm constantly pushing myself to be better every single day, to come out of those things, you can do it too. It is a choice. So now choose your power. Choose a life that is truly meant for you. And we are here to support you at Spirit and Soul as you go for these dreams. And when you butt up against an issue, a problem, that is why we exist. Okay? All right. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. I hope that today you take one step towards your dream life. I hope that today, that you truly just make a decision that you're no longer choosing self-doubt. And I know you can do it. So let's do it right now. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on the next episode.